You're finding so many amazing things. Look at the
So I feel like that as much as we're doing like vision boards and stuff, we can also like do practices to channel the light. Like Sedona holds so much light, and we can channel that light to the different parts of the world to help. Like New York City has such a dense energy, we can use the light to clear that and actually shift the entire planet. So that's what the ETs and the angels have been telling me to do. So that is the project that I'm working on right now, to get it out there on a bigger platform so that everyone does that. Because everyone's gifted, and we need to join our gifts together and then use them to actually empower ourselves in the world. And I was told like the deserts is where there's a lack of energy flow. And like New York City, it's all gray, there's dense energies. So we can channel the light from places like here, the ancient light was put in this portal. There's ancient light here. So that in these times we could go ahead and live in this light and channel it to the different parts of the world. So I'm working on that very heavily, and that's what I just went to Blind Frog Ranch. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, in the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, I've heard about it. Yeah.
So some of the people from the Discovery Channel invited me up there to do work, and I noticed at Blind Frog Ranch, my experience, that's what the ETs told me. They said that was a capsule of ancient light energy, and that they had left these like capsules around the world so that we could tap into them and channel them to heal the entire planet. So that's something, that I'm very passionate about right now.
Okay. Well, this is awesome because, yesterday when we all gathered, there was a number of people really desiring to find counsel, a guild. We're trying to find the right word for this, right? But common interest around, basically the sacred media. I don't know, whatever I don't know how we want to, I don't want to, what the wording of this is, but using the platforms that are already anchored in the sort of default world dimension through Instagram, Facebook, all the other platforms we use. But how do we pulse out coordinated pulses and work with communication strategically and also heartfully to like bring about the rapid anchoring of all this beautiful light that's happening here, all this beautiful visioning, and getting into the specifics and that sort of like meeting that flow that's happening in these videos or, in these shared spaces, and then, radiating that out so that it spreads fractally. And so what Sarah's speaking to, I think, is shared by others. If you are someone that's feeling called to this entire sort of guild of those that wield media, those that are drawn to media and expounding the message of finding pathways to do this, platforms to do this, that can coordinate our efforts, let's get together. I feel you. I'm one of you too. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. Yeah. So I think a vision board is definitely warranted around that.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think that instead of seeing social media as negative, I think we can have so much gratitude. It's allowed us to connect with so many awakened people and try to see the positive in it. Because I know everyone yesterday, they were like, oh, social media went down, it's good. And I'm like, wait a minute, without social media, I wouldn't have reached so many beautiful people and connected with them. So I try to see have gratitude and see the positive in things. And I do believe that social media is a great tool to help with the awakening of the planet and get good messages across. So I've been pondering that a lot too. How we can use these platforms to actually help empower everyone in ourselves more. So thank you, my love.
So in resonance, Sarah. And gosh, if those social media tools were respectful of people in all of their user license agreements and business models, so that's our, surveillance capitalism wasn't like doing the negative things it is. Maybe we need new platforms. Maybe good ones already exist. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's hear about those. Let's measure those. Let's create a rubric to actually gauge, are these in alignment with our sacred, the ethics that we're calling in for a new world? Let's not get behind a platform that's not set up for success. Set up for
shift into something positive.
There's another approach.
So we can shift them into something positive. I was just reading an article yesterday. There was a person who said that, they worked for Facebook, and they said that they realized that anger posts get more clicks. because that like makes so that sells content more and gets more clicks. So I think that by us sharing compassionate stuff and sharing awakened stuff and actually getting people to interact more with that, that's going to take over them like publicizing, you know, things that actually cause you the emotion of anger. So we can help shift the social networks by doing that too, as we bring in more positivity. Then I believe it'll eventually shift, because it's almost, I know this sounds really bad, but you know how they have all these like makeup videos and stuff that get that millions of likes and hits. It's like we should make like the awakened community a trend and cool, so that people actually understand we're not, you know, they can do healing stuff in everyday life, they can do fun stuff in everyday life, and that's going to help them feel better and be more empowered, and we should actually make it a trend. I know that sounds bad to some people. I'm like that. I think that's it, because when somebody sees something is cool or this, they're going to follow that. And I think that that's where social media can be used, where we can actually present spirituality in a modern way, you know, that everyone can do these things and that it's accessible. So many people think like, hey, they have to go in the middle of the desert in some robe and sit there, and that's how they're going to become spiritual, which is not the truth. So I do feel that, making it a trend, and that's actually going to tell these media companies, these social media companies, that they have to change and they have to shift what they're doing in their social media companies for positivity. Because once that becomes a trend, then they're going to promote that rather than promoting anger and all the rest of the things that they're promoting.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Thank you, Sarah, for like seeding that discussion.
I've been on social media for so many years, and I've seen how it works, and I know how it works. I can see how when people think something is cool or looks good, they'll follow it. And that's not necessarily bad. That's good to actually attract people into getting them to be healthier and happier and more spiritual. So I've seen like how it can be used, because I've seen so many people on my social media who were awakened, who now are like detoxing and healing. So it's definitely a tool that I feel that we are going to be able to shift quite soon in the future to be more aligned with helping consciousness grow on the planet.
So aligned to this. So aligned to this, and I think if we can do this and form a guild so that we are also supporting each other that are living in this era of social media, to not get sucked into the trappings of, you know, distortion and ego, and like just like getting, you know, sort of that like turn into a YouTube, Facebook, whatever star without like staying aligned, like, you know, to stay aligned within that, how to stay authentic within that. Let's share our best practices. How are we doing that? Like, how are we going to hold that authentic keynote of presence? And I think that is really important, so that this doesn't also just turn into you know, spirituality as a trend, or eco-regeneration as a trend that is a lifestyle. I think this is a worthwhile discussion. I don't want to poise one perspective. I think actually just let's all share with each other. Let's all come together. There needs to be a gathering just around media and sacred media, I think. And maybe that's one thing that guild in this series decides to go forth with. So if you're feeling called to sacred media, for a working title, sacred media, reach out. And you know, that's something Sarah Adams here is interested in, and I know others that were here yesterday too. So let's all find each other over the next few days as these unfold. All right, blessings. Thanks for being here. It's like the magic of sacred media. We can do that. These magical beings here.
We're gonna set up one that's like
Okay.